Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Big Jiu-Jitsu Show. Don't forget to check out our sponsors, Trap and Roll Soap Company and Rolls Gear, and you can find all of our old episodes at bjjshow.com. I'm Rob, and Randy and I started Halloween a little early. We talked about some of the scarier experiences we've had involving jiu-jitsu and injuries, and then even got into a debate on what the best Halloween candy is. But we want to hear from you if you've ever had a scary jiu-jitsu moment, or if you've ever done a martial arts related costume. Please let us know, and we'd like to talk about it on air. And if you want to support the podcast, go to bjjshow.com, buy a shirt, buy a patch, listen to the old episodes, and we actually hope you guys enjoyed this episode.
Yeah, I think we missed last week. We did really good for a while. We're back on. It'll be okay.
Yeah. So I mean, it is the weekend. We're back to it. It should be a bit better, maybe more consistent or whatnot. But I'm excited because it's getting a little cooler outside. It's a little chill in the air. Noticed that this morning, actually.
Yeah, fall season's a good season, man. I like fall way more in North Carolina than I did when I was up in New York, because the fall would just be really cold. But here, man, the temperature's perfect. You start busting out your heavier gis. It's good training weather.
Yeah, and then you kind of get the sniffles every once in a while too. So I'm not really excited about that, to be honest with you.
Yeah. My allergies tend to go crazy in the onset of fall with all the dead leaves, and then jackasses in the south like to burn leaves. Assholes.
Yeah, that's my fault, man. That's my people. We rake up all the leaves, and then the best way to dispose of them is to burn them. And I'm guilty of that too, because in the backyard, we had all these weeds everywhere. I'm like, this is the part where I'm gonna just cut them all down. I'm gonna throw them in the fire pit, and I'm gonna burn them. And then I started getting worried, because I remember hearing a story as a kid that this woman cut up poison sumac and burned it, and then had a major allergic reaction to it, and then died. Shit. So I'm just freaking out, fuck, did I burn poison sumac? Am I gonna die too? But oh, and hey, Liz. She says hello.
Yeah. I didn't know about that poison sumac. That's a little creepy.
Yeah.
There's so many ways to die as a human being on this planet.
Yeah, it's kind of terrifying that is you can make one mistake once, and it's a dumb mistake too, just burning poison sumac. You had no idea, and then that's it. You're dead. That's it.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy, man.
I think Liz said she remembers that story too, from when she was a kid. So yeah, it's a very terrifying story. Well, I mean, it makes sense. It's almost Halloween, so I think it's reasonable to have scary stories for people for doing stuff around the house. That's why you should do chores.
I just noticed that the closed captioning thing on it blanks me out. It blanks me out when I say the word fuck. Watch.
Really? Hold on. Let me pull. I
ready?
almost. Yeah.
Ready? Fuck.
Oh man, that's the entertainment you guys get with the Big Jiu-Jitsu Show. So that's the fun stuff. But so since it's almost Halloween, I feel like you and I have got some kind of crazy stories, maybe some scary stories to talk about, possibly involving training, involving martial arts, involving just typical Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu shit. Do you have any stories that just maybe might be slightly terrifying or creepy or anything like that?
The one that comes to mind, I guess, is more, I don't know if it's it's not a haunted story, right? I haven't been to any haunted jiu-jitsu schools. That'd be kind of cool if somebody had. But I just remember, I think one of the most terrified times for me doing jiu-jitsu was, I remember I was rolling. It was when I was training at Gracie Raleigh. This is several years back. And it was an open mat. It was toward the end of the day. And my partner was like, hey, you got 30 seconds left. And he like climbs in a mount. He's like, get out of the mount, 30 seconds, go hard, get out of here, get out of mount. And so I'm trying my best to get out and was really struggling hard on it. And I went to, explosively twist out, and he sat his weight down at the same time. And I felt like 3 pops up from the bottom of my rib cage up to about the middle. It was like this real ropey, like kind of pop feeling. And I just remember pausing, and he felt it and heard it too. So he stopped. We both looked at each other, and I was just waiting for the pain. Right. And all of a sudden, it was like this burning, horrible sensation that just filled up my entire rib cage and whole midsection area. And the pain kept getting worse. Like anytime you thought that you reached your threshold or your peak of where the pain would get to, it just surpassed it. It kept getting worse and worse and worse. Remember, I kind of like went into a fetal position and crawled off the mats to the side, and just could not get the pain to stop. I thought I'd punctured a lung or something. I remember getting my shit together and being like, I got to drive to the hospital or the doctor or something. It ended up being that I had torn the intercostals in like 3 different sections of my rib cage. Probably one of the most painful injuries of my entire life. But it was terrifying because I didn't know what was going on. And so it was just kind of like this moment of panic. Like, am I about to die here, or is this just going to stop? That injury put me out for about 3 months, I think. It was about a 3-month recovery from that. Every time I laughed, sneezed, or coughed, I wanted to cry. Just a debilitating injury. But that's kind of the one that came to mind. Not quite a Halloween story, but it was creepy nonetheless. Maybe if I told it and I was like, then this weird creature like burst out of my chest, you know, then it would be more of a Halloween story. But it scared the shit out of me, at least.
I was gonna say, like, I haven't torn my intercostal muscles in the ribs, but I pulled one, and that alone is probably one of the most painful things I've had. Like, it was so much so that I couldn't, like, I wake up in the middle of the night and felt it. It wasn't from jiu-jitsu, it was from golf. I think I'd said this before. Creepy injuries. One didn't happen to me, but it was like it was almost like a scene from Saw. So I was coaching one night. This one was in Germany, and one of my students. So I ran the club in Wiesbaden, and then I taught at a school in Kaiserslautern. There's like an hour drive between the two, and one of my students, Will from Wiesbaden, said, "Hey, do you mind if I go with you?" I was like, hey, it's another body for these guys to roll with. Will's pretty good. He'll give him a good fight. He's about the same size as everybody that trains there, so it's not just me like just smashing people. But so we go, and the mat area is so small you can only realistically have 2 people doing a match at once. So Will gets up, and it's one of the students there named Brian. They go together, and they roll, and it didn't seem like it was a very intense roll. It was just something move, like somebody just placed a foot down in the wrong position, and Brian's mouth hit Will's knee, like just straight on bottom teeth hit his knee, and he hit, and he made this face like he wanted to scream, but he couldn't. And then he just looks at me and like waves his hands like this and points at his mouth, and he pulls his lip down, and I didn't know you can have it looks kind of like a bridge, but it's almost like braces behind the teeth. It was like the braces pulled like the back part of a couple of his teeth off.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know if it was glue or teeth or whatever the fuck it was, but he couldn't talk, he didn't scream, and it was just like like this noise like a mummy would make.
Oh.
And just, I got the heebie-jeebies. Like, jiu-jitsu, you see people break their arms and shit like that.
Yeah.
You're like, you'll be fine. That freaked me out. Seeing the back of somebody's teeth freaked me
out. Another story, and this one's kind of funny. This goes back to the Brian Mingy days.
Oh, yeah.
TFTP. And it was actually when I was testing for my purple belt. I think you were almost there that day.
I was. Brian actually was like, yo, you got your gi in the car? I'm like, I'm on vacation, bro. I told my sister I'd be like have dinner with him or something.
Yeah, and so remember you come up there like earlier that day, I thought, and then you left, and I didn't know I was getting tested that day. I had no idea, and so I show up. As a matter of fact, I was wearing my old school Team Rocky that day even.
Nice.
I don't even have that thing anymore. It doesn't fit me. But I was testing for my purple belt and I had no idea. And we started off our class doing our normal warm up stuff, shrimping, bear crawls, all that stuff, triangles, all that crap. And then we started doing pummeling. And I remember Brian pulled me aside as his partner. So that's not abnormal. You
Yeah.
know, that was one of the things I always appreciated about Brian was he would work with everybody. And so we start pummeling. And before I know it, he like slams me against the mat wall and like old school rape chokes me, like grabs me like this, right in the throat
Yeah.
and puts me against the wall. And I just remember thinking like, oh my God, I pissed Brian off. This is how I die. Like this is bad. Because he had never done that to me before. And we're throwing down. I mean, obviously he was tapering his response because he could just destroy me if he wanted to.
Yeah.
But in my mind, I was getting my ass whooped, and he was coming at me with everything he had. He was throwing light punches and grabbing clinches and throwing me around, grabbing me by the throat. And I was like, oh my God, this is awful. But, I started fighting back and we started going. I remember at one point he had worked me over so bad that I couldn't even breathe. And he had me on the ground. He would knee on belly. He was transitioning to mount, side mount, knee on belly, just around the clock. Right. And I looked at him. I'm like, Brian, I'm going to throw up, man. And I get up and I go to walk off the mats. He grabs me by my lapel, pulls me back on the mats backwards, throws me back on the ground, and goes right back to knee on belly. He's like, don't you dare throw up on my mats. I'm like, what am I supposed to do right now? And so then I'm like, I'm going to pass out. And he was like, and you'll wake up and you'll keep fighting. And it was terrifying. The whole experience was, I thought he wanted to kill me. But it went on like that. Then he passed me off to Buddy. And then, Buddy dominated the crap out of me for a little bit. And then, I don't know, one of the bigger guys in the mat. I don't know. Can't remember if it was Rodney, if he was there or not at that point. But one of the bigger guys in the gym climbed him out. I had to escape mount, and I had to do this, and I could pass back around to the higher belts. It was like, oh my God, man. That was one of the most difficult experiences in my entire life in jiu-jitsu. But it started off with me being utterly terrified that Brian was mad at me for some unbeknownst reason, and I was going to die this way.
Yeah, for some reason, Brian has this ability to like just be super fucking scary, but so controlled at the same time. Like it's almost like the guy that that is deadpan all the time, so you don't know if he's joking or not, pretty much. So he's like, he could say something like, you know what, I'm gonna kick your ass, and you can't tell if he's joking or not. So like Brian has that ability, but like with his techniques as well.
No, and you're 100% right. And that's why you understand why this was such a terrifying experience more than maybe the lay audience member, unless they know Brian. Go look up Brian Mingia, Mingia. He runs Epoch Jiu-Jitsu over in Wilmington now. And just look at some pictures of him. He just has a look about him, and he's a jokester. He's hilarious. He's one of the nicest guys in the mat, but he can turn this. He can flip a personality switch and just you would be convinced he's getting ready to maim you. And he's not. He just has that ability. I don't understand how to explain it, but yeah, that was terrifying. That's my other horror story. You got another one?
Ooh, so let me see. Well, speaking of Brian though, he was on that BJJ library competition that Zanji Hibero did. So check that out. It's really good. You do get to see a good amount of what Brian is about. So that's highly recommended. Terrifying. The time I dislocated my shoulder and my collarbone at the same time, that was kind of cool. Maybe not cool, but terrifying for me. So as a white belt, I knew everything about jiu-jitsu. I don't know if you knew this, but I was probably the best white belt in the world. I was fucking convinced I knew so much about jiu-jitsu because, bro, I just did it for like 6 months. If I looked at a move, I probably could do it. So
you already learned all the micro adjustments, right?
I forgot about that guy. Yeah, micro adjustments are the key to defeating purple belts as a white belt, right? And you can, I think the guy made T-shirts or something about that. But so I was doing a judo demo because I had a couple friends who did judo, and they're like, "Hey, you do jiu-jitsu or whatever. Do you want to come just hang out and do get thrown around or do something? Like, we need somebody who's a little more adept at fighting on the ground." And I'm like, looking back, like, dude, I was a fucking white belt. Terrible decision. But at the time, like, I'm glad you recognize that. Thank you. I've been working very hard as a white belt to be the best. But anyways, it gets to demo time. Me and my buddy Matt are doing something, and I'm like, this is the perfect time to do a flying armbar to really impress the crowd. And I did the flying armbar, and when I landed on my left side, and I felt just like it was like a compression, like a really weird compression on my left shoulder, and I just kind of rolled back over, and it was hard to describe at the time. Like I dislocated my shoulder before, but this felt like way different. Like it was an injury, and like like when you get seriously injured and
Yeah.
it hasn't hit you yet, and you're like, I don't want to look at it because I know it's bad. Like I know it's real bad. So I look at Matt. I'm like, I'm done. He's like, are you good? I'm like, I'm injured. I need to get off the mat. And so he's like, okay. We get up and we bow. And I walk back off the mat, doing the whole like, don't let people see you're hurt during the demo and scare them off. And I go over to my friend's mom, and she's a EMT, and I'm like, I don't know what I did, but this whole area feels so weird. I think I dislocated my shoulder, but something else doesn't feel right. And so she goes, okay, we're going to test it out. I want you to hold your arms up. And I'm like, bringing it up. I'm like, oh, my shoulder hurts. Okay. Bring your arms back. And I felt like, where your collarbone attaches to your sternum right here?
Yeah.
It pushed out, like it separated. Like it separated again. And I was like, oh God, like wanted to throw up. And so she looked at it and she says, okay, you need to go to the ER. I'm like, well, that'd be a good idea, except I don't have health insurance because I'm an idiot.
Oh no.
Yeah. So that's another lesson. If you are doing combat sports, have insurance. If you it's, I know it's not required to have insurance, but trust me, I would have been a lot better off because I told her that and I was like, I don't know what to do. And she said, well, usually on these, because she said she'd seen it before in judo, like they'll either fuse it to your sternum or you just like ride it out and just hold it in place and like let it heal and just hope for the best. And I'm like, okay, well, that's pretty much what I'm gonna do. So I got a sling, and pretty much that night I said, what can I do for like pain? And she said, take 400 milligrams of ibuprofen and drink a 6-pack and just chill. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm pretty sure this is gonna do some like irreparable damage to my liver, but it did work. And like now it, so like if I do certain things, like if I put my, I just did it. So if I put my, I don't know if you could hear that, but if I put my arm behind my, like the small of my back, and I bring my elbow forward, I can pop my shoulder and where it attaches right here.
So in other words, Kimura Rob.
Oh, dude, yeah. If you say I'm gonna Kimura you, I will tap. Like I'm, my left shoulder's so like done. Doesn't even matter. But that's my other scary Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu injury story. I'm trying to think of like just I don't think I've really had too many creeps coming to the gym. Just like this guy's gonna be a serial killer or something like that. But
Nah, that's what I was trying to think of too. All the gyms I've been to, I don't really recall having any creepy experiences like that. They're all creepy injury related or whatever. The time that jiu-jitsu literally, in my opinion, saved my life was an interesting one. On the job.
Okay.
So it was and if people don't know the terms, I would hope you'd at least know what bolo meant, even though that's a cop term, but it's be on the lookout. So bolo was sent out as I was clearing the hospital on patrol duties, and it was in reference to a suspect that had done a pretty mean thing, pretty evil thing, and used a revolver in the commission of the crime. And they gave a description out. And so I find the guy, or at least who I think is the guy, walking with one of his friends in the area of the offense, and matched the description to a T. I don't have any backup with me because typically we rode one in a vehicle. And it's in the middle of the night. It's really dark out, kind of chilly out. And we're heading toward a set of train tracks over that. And I jump out of the car because that's what we do, even though every voice in my head was like, just, yeah, don't do this right now. Get somebody else here. Don't do this by yourself. I didn't want to let him go. So I jump out of the car to go to deal with it. And I go after the guy that looks like he matched the description. And I call out to him. He turns around. As he's turning around, he like touches his waistband with his hand. There's a real little tap with his hand to his waistband. And I remember that didn't sit right with me. I had a bad feeling about that. And so I grab onto him, I walk him over to the car, I push his hands on the hood of the car, and I touch right where I saw him touch with his hand, and I felt the handle of a revolver underneath the shirt. And as soon as that happened, he turns around and grabs onto me, and we start fighting on the hood of my patrol car.
Damn.
Meanwhile, his buddy is standing right there. Thank God his buddy never got involved. He just stood there and watched the whole time. But I'm fighting with this guy tooth and nail over the hood of my car, middle of the night, nobody around to help me, just me and him. Winner takes all, you know? And I managed to get like a double wrist ride on his. Like I got behind him, kind of had him in like a body lock from behind, got double wrist ride on his strong side arm and pinned him on the hood of the car, and just kept him over the hood of the car. And it was jujitsu really the idea of closing distance, getting that wrist ride, sucking up all the space, and understanding how to break his posture over the hood of the car so he couldn't move. And eventually was able to, I heard the gun fall down his pants and hit the ground. Heard like the metallic clink of it on the ground.
Yeah.
Grabbed my radio and said, I need some help over here. And my backup came over there and helped me out. Got him in custody. And he told me after he got to the jail, he's like, if I could have got that gun, I'd have fucking killed you. And I remember writing the arrest report, and my hand was shaking. The whole time that I was fighting him, there was no time to be nervous or scared. There was no emotion attached to it. It was just showtime, and anybody that competes in jiu-jitsu knows exactly how that feels because you're nervous before the match. But once that match kicks off, it's just go time. No more nerves. That's how it was. But for me, the nervousness came after. So, we're at the jail and reality kind of started setting in, got that adrenaline dump. Couldn't even fill out the damn arrest report because my hand was shaking so bad. And the guy had a really nasty disposition, really nasty criminal history, had been charged with attempted murder before. Like this guy definitely would have killed me if he had the chance. So creepy feeling, like eerie from the very beginning, and then afterward, just sheer terror attached to that. But jiu-jitsu saves lives. Honestly, it saved my life, but it also saved his. Because if it weren't for the confidence in that distance, I think a lot of people would have pushed off, pulled their gun, and shot him. So literally saved both our lives. Pretty sure that guy's still rotting away in prison somewhere for what he did. So,
holy shit, that is. I think when you said like the whole part, like when you're at the jail with him and he said, if I got that gun, I would have killed you. Like I think that's the ceiling of the deal almost, of just like how like terrifying that would be. Like the dude was absolutely intent on killing you and you were able to stop it. So, jeez, man. That is that's fucking scary. It's real fucking scary. But I think what will liven this up now that we've gone through the terrifying part.
That was a little dark, I know.
Woo, man. But I mean, we started doing, we talked about like scary shit with jiu-jitsu. That's exactly where it went to, and that's okay. Favorite Halloween candy? Like if you were we're a bit up there in age right now, so trick or treating isn't exactly an activity that you and I can do. I mean, we could, I guess. But.
We could. I mean, I'm about 5'5". If I put on a mask, they have no idea how old I am.
It's like, oh my god, you're very tall for a 13-year-old kid. I was gonna say but yeah, what are you going for then? What's gonna be the ideal candy that you're gonna get in your bag?
Reese's.
Fuck yeah! All right, good. I'm glad that somebody else agrees with. Now, here's the other thing: the pieces, the minis, are like what?
I like both, man. I mean, Reese's Cups are where it's at, but I do like Reese's Pieces as well. I would say Reese's Cups because I feel like that's more common, and hopefully these people don't cheap out. They do like the 2-packs.
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of the candy bags are the individualized little Reese's Cups. I'm down with those too. They got the new ones. You see the new ones with they have like the Reese's Pieces inside of the Reese's Cup.
Oh my god.
They're amazing, right? So that's hitting the jackpot.
Yeah, because I do like Reese's Cups. I will say Snickers is still like, I have a soft spot, obviously, soft spot, haha, for Snickers bars, but I kind of feel like, if you get both of those, like it's a win for me. But like the one thing I absolutely do not want to see in my trick-or-treat bag is probably like Tootsie Rolls, believe it or not.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate Tootsie Rolls, but I just it's not. It's a cop out. It's a safe a safe bet, right? What I don't want to see is candy corn. I despise candy corn. I'm pretty sure all candy corn, I don't remember what comedian said it first, but it's 100% right. Pretty sure all candy corn was made in like the 1950s.
I think so. Like it does taste like. I mean, was it? You go to Cracker Barrel and they have like the wall of like the retro old school candy and like root beer and all that other stuff. Like I feel like there would be an abundance of candy corn
Oh yeah,
like this month, maybe last month, whatever. But like the was it Necco wafers? That's pretty much just like Tums with sugar.
yeah, those are gross.
That's,
Yeah,
that's terrible, man. Like why
uh,
even invent something like that? Was that what we had as candy back in the day?
I will say that my second and third. So Reese's is a distant number one. Um, my second and third would be Kit Kat and Twix.
Ooh, Kit Kats are real good. I do like Twix. I just pulled up like I just looked. I punched in old candy and fucking Necco wafers are like right there, like just right at the top. But and this is a subscription service to was it 1920s candy? What's in here? A Baby Ruth bar. Holy shit! I didn't know that was in the 20s. What else we got?
I like those ones that I don't see them in candy bags very often for Halloween, but I really like those. What are they? Mounds, where it's the coconut and dark chocolate.
Yeah.
I like those ones a lot.
Yeah, because I like the was it the little Mr. Good bars as well, the ones that are like a little
Yeah.
more sophisticated crunch bars, if you will. Like, I
Yep.
feel
Or
like I'm fancier.
The Hershey's with peanuts in it. Those are good too.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I
I need
agree.
to I need to like exploit some little kids so I can go trick or treating this year, or I can just be the adult and just buy it myself. And that's the other thing too. Like now I have to like buy like I live in a neighborhood, so I have to buy candy
Yeah.
to support the kids. But the thing is, like now I feel like speaking of being creepy and shit like that, I feel like I'm stuck in like some weird hostage situation where if I don't give good candy, I'm gonna get my house egged or something like that.
Well, you know what I do? What I've been doing the last couple of years is I go over to my buddy's house and they have all the candy, and they even do. Their neighborhood is amazing. It's like a throwback neighborhood to old school Halloween. It really
Okay.
is. Because I saw Religious brought up the trunk and treat. I really don't like the trunk or treat. Um, because I love Halloween. Halloween is my all time favorite holiday. If I haven't said that before on the air, it's my all time favorite holiday. I love how nostalgic it is. I mean, I watch Hocus Pocus every single year. It reminds me of being a little kid. The Simpsons Treehouse of Horror is a must
Yeah.
every year. Like I just love the whole vibe that Halloween has. And so I go over there in this neighborhood, man, kids are everywhere trick or treating. It is like being back in the 90s again. And so what my buddy does is he hands out candy to the kids, but then hidden behind like one of the decorations that he has are a bunch of jello shots and they're adult treats.
Hmm.
And so the parents, when they come around with their kids, the kids get the candy and then the parents get the jello shots. And of course, we are taking some of those jello shots in between trick or treaters ourselves to make sure we have a good night and eating some of the candy too. So it's a win win all around, man. It's a win win.
That does sound pretty good. Like, I might do that this year. But the thing is, like, I will be at a Halloween party, so it's like one of those things. Like, where will I like? Am I gonna do like put the bowl out? But then I know I have a Ring camera, and if somebody comes up and like takes the whole bowl, I'm just gonna have to hunt them down and like egg their house instead.
Yeah.
But
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, you're prepared to give away that candy anyway. It's just that person's a douche for taking all of it so the kids can't get it.
yeah, but like I said, I feel like a hostage in my own neighborhood. Like okay, well he left the bowl out and just like that's whatever. I'm probably just gonna do something like if it's empty, like put a sign out there like if it's empty, blame somebody else.
Yeah.
Don't take it out on me. I did my due diligence this year. I got you a lot of candy, or I just leave the note out and like have an empty bowl and not even worry about it anymore.
Yeah. Well, I just blacked the house out because it's universal language for I'm not here to hand you candy if your lights are off.
Some places don't follow that though. When I was in Arizona, like we ran out of candy, turned the porch light off. Kids were still coming up. I'm like, hey, we're out of candy. Like you guys took it all.
Damn.
And so they're like, oh, okay. Did that for a few of them. I'm like, dude, kill the inside lights. Fuck it. We're just going to watch TV in the like
Yeah.
living room area. Had all the lights out. It's just, me, Chelsea, and the dog. TV is the only light in the house, and kids are still coming up. One kid even just screamed trick or treat at our door. Didn't even ring the doorbell or anything. So I was like, I'm definitely not answering the door for that kid. Like, I don't know. Maybe it was just a weird neighborhood.
Yeah, that is strange because usually if all the lights are off, that's pretty much a sign that they're not participating or not home.
Yeah.
Um, I miss those days, man. I miss having the pillowcase, filling that shit with candy. Um, I still like to dress up pretty much every Halloween, man. I love Halloween. And if I go over to my buddy's house, they're all in costume anyway because it's fun to scare some of the kids. Um, so yeah, I love Halloween, man. That's what I'll be doing.
Did you ever do like an MMA or martial arts related costume at any point?
Yeah. Actually, so this has been several years, man. I wasn't doing jujitsu yet. This was back when I was in high school, and so I was doing like boxing and kung fu and I think Kali back then. And I wore my kung fu outfit, but I like splattered like fake blood on it, had my face all jacked up, and was kind of like a zombie kung fu guy.
Hell yeah.
I had like one of the little like the throwing stars, fake Hollywood things like sticking out of my neck. And so I was basically my story was that I died in battle and I was a zombie, which back then probably didn't make a lot of sense. But now you see some of the movies coming out and they make everything a zombie flick now. So that could totally work. I was ahead of the time.
Yeah, dude, you already thought that out. So,
yeah,
I mean, you're a trendsetter. I think the only thing I ever did was I had a Kazushi Sakuraba shirt, throw on some MMA gloves. I'm like, hey, I'm Sakuraba, and they're like, you're a giant white dude. I'm like, I don't fucking care.
You should go as you know what you should do. You should go as the Tekken character King.
Dude, that's a good idea, actually.
Yeah,
I may do that. Not this year though. Like we already got our costumes planned out. So,
what are you this year?
Do you watch What We Do in the Shadows?
No.
So Chelsea and I'm going as Laszlo, so I have to ditch the glasses. I had to buy a wig, and then she's going as Nadja, who's like the wife of, and they're just vampires. If you want to watch a show that just makes me laugh like all the time. I laugh so hard watching that show, and it's pretty funny. So
is it a comedy? Is it meant to be a comedy? Or
it is.
Just...
It's
okay.
It's done by. It was created. There was a movie. Taika Waititi created it, and they it was pretty much like a mockumentary about vampires living together in Australia or New Zealand. I don't remember what. I think it was New Zealand, and like how they deal with being vampires, like having a chore wheel, and one of their friends accidentally invites over, or like doesn't invite over, but like leaves a window open and a vampire hunter gets in there. So like they have to like clear out the basement or something. But like it's the same premise, but it's in New York City this time. So it's like 4 vampires living together with their familiar who's kind of just dumping bodies and finding new people for them to drink blood. Like it's a really good show. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out. That sounds pretty cool. It sounds right in time for the season too, so I'll check it out.
Oh yeah, just binge it, drink cider or whatever the Halloween beverage of choice is for you.
For me, it's usually coffee or liquor. I mean, that's
I hear you there.
Pretty much how it goes.
Yeah, one or the other. No, and it's cold season, so all the fancy coffee comes out.
Hell yeah, man. But, when are you gonna make a trip up here again? We got to do some training.
So I will actually be back on day after Halloween. Actually, the day of Halloween. So probably that week. Actually, I'll come up there and get some rolls in. My rib feels good, so I'm pretty pumped for it.
Yeah, and I'll be coming your way for a few days this week coming up. So maybe we can hook up Thursday.
Oh yeah, that's true. We could do that. That's probably. We can do it in the full studio. Everybody gets to see the rest of it. So
yeah, man.
Get the other microphone. I actually got 2 others. I got one other microphone stand. I got another arm that, well, you've seen like some of the other equipment. We just run it together, and then have have just a grand old time with everybody talking and doing the jiu-jitsu podcast together. It should be fun.
Hell yeah. I think we need to get back to get a guest on and ask him some stupid questions like we used to, and yeah, get back on that. But
yeah, we do actually have a couple people that I had talked to while I was at Punk Rock Bowling. One guy has a real interesting story. He's more boxer, but I told him, I was like, hey, martial arts, like combat sports is combat sports. We'll talk to anybody about that.
Absolutely.
So I think that would be a good
boxer, man. Boxing, I don't do it as much these days, but those were some of the best times of my life at the boxing gym. Wouldn't be who I am today if it weren't for those experiences, for sure. But yeah, and maybe we can pick his brain about some stupid shit too.
Hell yeah. That actually be a lot of fun. So before we wrap this one up, do you have anything you'd like to say to our friends and listeners aside from this next week should be a wild one if we see each other in person?
Yeah, I know. I'm looking forward to that, man. No, just keep rolling, keep training hard. Send us some scary jiu-jitsu stories that you guys have from your experience. We shared a few of ours. I'd like to hear yours.
Yeah.
I'll bring it up next episode. It'll still be before Halloween, so we'll talk about that. But that's pretty much all I got.
Awesome, yeah. And like Randy said, please give us scary stories we'd like to talk about. Or if you have a jiu-jitsu or martial arts related costume, send us a picture or tell us what it was. I want to see it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I want to see some of those ideas. That's a good idea, man.
We'll post it up. It'll be hilarious. It'll be great. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's been the Big Jiu-Jitsu Show. Once again, I'm Rob.
I'm Randy.
We'll see you guys next time.